Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. Today I will continue with the Baby Monster individual readings. And the next person that we're going to work on is with Asa. And for those of you that do not know, this reading is going to be divided into 4 parts, which will be her current energy, her career, her love life, and then any healing messages that come through. In the description below, I will have the timestamps in case you want to jump around in the video. And if not, let's just start with her current energy. So let's figure out, how is Asa doing right now? What is her current energy? So we have the Four of Pentacles, the Lovers reverse, and one more card. And the Ten of Pentacles reverse. Okay, so you know what's funny? The Lovers came up, and the word that keeps repeating in my head is, it's like almost like a chant, is choice. So with the Lovers, I see it as communication. It talks about opportunities. Here, the keyword is decision. But the Lovers is also Gemini energy. And the whole thing about the Lovers is that it's describing, if you look at the major arcana, and we see it as like a hero's journey, the hero in this case being the Fool, we're talking about like someone that's going through like these experiences in their life. The Lovers is card number 6, and it stands right after the Hierophant that talks about institutions, an established community, society, rules, traditions even. And the Lovers being right after the Hierophant, it talks about someone that is entering a place in their life where they're experiencing passion, desire, and because of that, they're kind of venturing into this rebellious stage of independent thought. So someone that is kind of like venturing out of their established community and their established set of rules and, I guess, their society, their community, their neighborhood. So with the Lovers reverse, I do feel that right now she is reaching this point of independent thought and making her own decisions. I think that's why the word choice keeps coming up. So with the Lovers, I genuinely don't think it's talking about love. I usually don't take the Lovers as love anyway. But with her, instead of talking about opportunities, instead of talking about, well, I guess it does talk about decisions, but with her, it's talking about this sense of choice, this sense of being able to think for herself. But with the Lovers being reversed, I do feel that she's reaching this, she's kind of like a crossroads right now, where she is thinking for herself, but those ideas may be clashing a little bit with something that with a mentality that she grew up with, or with the environment that she's in. So maybe she feels like she's a crazy one here, or she may feel like a fish out of water. She may feel like she's not really fitting in because of her very distinct way of thinking. I do know that she's a foreigner, so maybe that has something to do with the industry that she's in. Like, she looks at all the people around her, and she may be thinking like, these people think super differently from the way that I think. Their opinions are completely different from mine, and these people are worried about things that I would not even pay any mind to. So I do feel that this clashings of energy is taking her off guard a little bit at the moment. So what is it called? Cultural shock? Not so much. I don't think she's super surprised with other people's culture as much as she's just, well, I guess in a way it is cultural shock, but I think this is more not necessarily with the way that people do things, but the way that people think about things. So I do feel that there is some concerns that the people in her environment, this could also be with the industry that she's in. She's surrounded by people that are concerned about things that had never even crossed her mind, so that could be a bit of like whiplash for her. Like, she has this certain view and perspective and way of living life, and then she clashes constantly with all of these other people that have a completely different way of doing things. So with this Four of Pentacles, so the Four of Pentacles here has the word control, but it usually shows this guy that is holding on to this Four of Pentacles for dear life. So it could talk about someone that is holding on to the things that they treasure, but it could also talk about someone that is like saving up for something. And since it's Pentacles, it could talk about money as much as it could talk about career. And with her, I do feel that currently she's holding on to okay, that's a weird way of putting it, but she's holding on very tightly to her sanity. I don't know what environment she's in. That again, she could feel like a fish out of water. She could feel like the odd one out, or she could feel like an outcast in the environment that she's in. She is surrounded by a bunch of people that think very differently from her, and she is going through this constant uphill battle of not being influenced by this way of thinking. So she's working very hard and holding on to her independent thought. I do feel that this control card feels more of like someone that is actively working to find stability within their life and not being swayed by their environment. One of the, I guess, ways to think about the imagery of the Four of Pentacles is someone that is holding so tightly onto something that they're not moving. And four in tarot usually talks about stability, talks about being grounded, it talks about having something concrete, like again, a stable foundation per se. So control is one way of putting it, that's for sure. But with the four, and then when we talk about Pentacles, we could be talking about health as much as we could be talking about money, finances, and career. So if you combine both of those meanings, it feels like she's working hard to establish and have like a constant source of money, having an established career, and having a very stable work environment. But I do feel that she could be having this constant battle with her environment because of how different the process is to like what she's used to and the way that she grew up with. And I think that could just be because she is in an industry that could be quite controlling or like very systematic or very constricting sometimes, but also because she's just in a completely different country, right? Because I believe she's Japanese. So if that's the case, she's surrounded by people that just worry about things that she will have never worried about, and that are persistent about other things that she just doesn't really understand. Like she can't really, like let's say beauty standards, she can't really wrap her head about some of the beauty standards in the industry that she's in. Or maybe people are like, oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, because this is how people act in this industry, and she's just so baffled, like, why will you do that to yourself? So again, it's her way of thinking is just clashing with the environment she's in. Now the last card that we have right here is the Ten of Pentacles reversed. So this Ten of Pentacles talks about wealth, which I mean, sure, but the Ten of Pentacles usually describes someone that is leaving a legacy, a generational legacy. And this generational legacy could be money, but it could also just be knowledge and experience. And since we're talking about Pentacles energy, then we're talking about someone that has an established career. We're talking about someone that has enough money to not only take care of themselves, but be able to provide for other people, in this case being like an established family and for generations to come. So yeah, I guess wealth is one way of putting it, but it could also just be like just the experience and knowledge that someone has, right? So this rich experience and knowledge could be very beneficial and helpful for their future generations. So with this card in reverse, I do feel that nothing that she grew up with could have prepared her for what she's doing right now. And again, it could also be, again, I believe she's a foreigner, so if that's the case, she grew up with a set of doing things in a completely different mindset, so it clashes with what she's encountering in the industry that she's in. But with its Ten of Pentacles reversed, I do feel that this could also mean that currently she doesn't feel super established, she doesn't feel super set in her career, like it's not stable enough for her to be able to imagine that she could encounter or reach this Ten of Pentacles. So what I mentioned, like a successful established career, a consistent source of income. So she feels like there's still a long way to go to succeed the way that she sees success. So like whatever it means for her to have an established career, whatever it means to have an a stable source of income, and whatever it looks like or however she defines success, right now at the current moment she doesn't feel like she has reached that point, and she may also find it kind of difficult to visualize how she can reach her dreams or reach that goal with the current state that she's in or like the current state that her work is in. So all it's all the things that she's barely starting. Like Baby Monster is like barely getting on with like what the industry is all about. So it makes sense that maybe it feels like a very far away dream to see like the end of their journey. And for her, it's like whatever goals or like whatever she's aiming for to get out of like her career and her work, it feels so far away from where she's standing right now. So I think it makes sense. I don't think this is anything too serious or anything to be super worried about. I think this is just kind of like the natural course of things, right? She's just starting, so seeing that bridge between point A and B feels impossible because it's just, I don't know, maybe she has very big ambitions, so, or she has like this very big goals in mind, like 10 years from now I want to have accomplished these things. And if that's the case, that could explain why right now she's like, wait, I'm right here, when will I reach that point? And she may find it kind of hard to believe that she could reach that point, right? So currently she's in that mindset, she's in that mentality. Now let's go on to the second part of this reading, which is her career, and figure out what is going on with Asa's career. How will you, like, what is, like, where do you put the stress in her name? She says her name. So we have first quarter moon with your commitment is being tested, which I mean, we can kind of already see that with her current energy, where she's already like doubting if she's in the right path, or she's already thinking, will I be able to reach like my ideal, like whatever goals she has set for herself? She's already wondering if she will be able to reach them. It's, I think she has very big goals, so she may find it difficult to build that bridge to go from point A to point B, or to like build that ladder that will help her reach those goals. Okay. So what is going on with her career? We have full moon in Virgo with take inspired action. So so with the Virgo energy and your commitment is being tested, it feels like for her career there is this whole idea of like, it will be a good idea for her to figure out a routine that will inspire her, or a routine that will help her stay consistent with what she's doing. There is this sense of it's going to be quite a long journey, and it will be better if you focus on like the day-to-day tasks instead of feeling overwhelmed and maybe discouraged at the long journey ahead of her. So with your commitment is being tested, I do feel that maybe her environment is putting a little bit too much pressure, in the sense of giving her like this long list of things that she has to think about, this super long list of things that have to get done, to the point that it could be a bit overwhelming to her at the moment. So her career feels like this super huge burden, because it's quite shaky, it's not super stable, but at the same time it's very overwhelming with all of the things that she has to keep in mind, all the things that she has to keep into consideration. And then she wonders if all of these responsibilities and all of these burdens will be worthwhile, especially because it's so early on in her journey within her career that she's wondering if it's going to pan out, if it will be worth it, if all of the things that she's doing today, if they even matter in the grand scheme of things, right? But I do feel that it's just because she's been overwhelmed. I do feel that she's just very busy. I do feel that she's just has a lot of things that have to get done. So at the moment, there's this whole sense of like just trusting the process. Virgo energy describes people, or just the energy of someone that is okay with taking care of the tedious tasks of life. It's someone that doesn't mind doing like the boring, mundane things, the actions and the responsibilities that have to be taken care of in order to complete something, or in order to achieve a goal in mind. All earth signs are goal orientated. And with Virgo, the way that they achieve their goals is like slow and steady, but also like constant work, a routine. Every day putting even the smallest amounts of work, effort, and attention towards completing a goal. So I do feel that for her, maybe one of the best ways to kind of like organize her energy is by setting a plan of the little things that she can do today in order to build like that next plank, or building that next step to get her closer to her goal. And what I mean plank is like, if we think of the metaphor of a bridge, it's like putting one wooden panel down. Or if we're talking about a staircase going from point A to point B, then it's like building the next stepping stone towards that goal. That's kind of what I'm getting at. But Virgo energy is also, with a full moon, is like go full force with the planning, go full force with the scheduling and the routine. It's like put all that energy into the organization of thoughts, the organization of your actions, and then it will be a bit more digestible. It will be easier to do things and get things done because she will feel less overwhelmed. And I think that is just an advice, so like that she can overcome this whole your commitment is being tested type of vibe, right? But to get a little bit more clarity, let's take out at least 2 tarot cards for her career. So any additional details or messages for Asa's career? We have 3 cards. Let's check them out. Right, so we have the Sun, we have the World, and then we have the 7 of Cups reversed. So with the Sun, it's like, stay optimistic, things are going to work out. And with the World, it's like destiny, fate. Here we have all the elements. Here we have air, water, fire, and earth. But usually the signs that we see here is 5th signs. So we will actually see Aquarius, Scorpio, Leo, and Taurus. So that makes, and also the Sun is Leo energy. So there's a sense of like, if she wants to enjoy the spotlight, or if she wants to succeed in her career, she has to mentally prepare herself that she will have to actively work on clearing her mind, actively work on staying positive, actively work towards not being discouraged or not being overwhelmed with the work that has to get done for her career. But also the Sun talks about, here it says positivity, but the Sun also talks about inner child healing. So if her dream had always been to be an artist, then this is like, just don't forget why, her purpose, or like to not forget why she's doing what she's doing. So like that, it becomes a bit more bearable with the mundane things that have to get done. So like if she enjoys being on stage, it's like, okay, remember that feeling, hold tightly onto that. So like that, it becomes kind of like this motivator for when she has to do like the behind the scenes stuff of like practicing, or the recording of this, the recording of that, or like the styling of this, the styling of that, the diets, the exercise, all the other things that go behind the scenes that make she goes like, oh, not this again, right? So like the mundane stuff that has to be done behind the scenes, so that she's in the best condition, or in the best, so that then she can enjoy her time being on the actual stage, if that's what she enjoys, right? I'm saying that because Leo energy is one that is okay being the center of attention, is someone that is okay being under the spotlight. But that doesn't mean all Leos like to be put on the spot as much as it's like they just enjoy the attention. Of course, it has to be the desired attention. Anyway, but with her, also with the World card, the World is oh, by the way, the Sun is connected to the Sun, which is the planet that rules Leo, by the way. Now, with the World, this card is connected to Saturn energy. That's why I was talking about that. Now, the whole thing with the World is like there's this sense of like destiny and fate. But the World also talks about the completion of something and like the end of a cycle. And if you combine the World with Saturn, in this case, we're leaning more towards like the time that Saturn represents. So there's this whole idea of like, when we talk about astrology, Saturn is supposed to represent like limitations, constraints, and time. So it's like with time you will reap like the rewards of your hard work and your hard labor. Some people, I think in like Vedic, I'm not into Vedic astrology, but I heard or I read once that in Vedic astrology, people prefer to look at Saturn because it was more of like the hard work that you can put in that you will be rewarded for, rather than looking at, like, let's say Jupiter, that is like just good luck that comes out of nowhere, right? So it's like just good things happen to you, but you have no power over that. But then with Saturn, it's like if you put in hard work and effort, you will reap the rewards of that hard labor. But it's kind of like, but the hard work that you put in will be rewarded accordingly, right? So I do feel that it's, to some people, that seems like a bit more reliable than if you rely on destiny and fate. Now I'm bringing that up because with her, it could be something like that. It's like if she feels overwhelmed at how far away her goal is, and she may also and she may also feel overwhelmed with just her career and the tedious things that have to be done. There is this sense that with the World card, that one of the bits of advice that is here for her is to just know that her hard work will be rewarded, and to just focus on the present moment and the things that are within her control at, like, in the now. So also with the World, there is fixed energy is super stubborn. All of them, when they set their mind into something, maybe a way of thinking, maybe a goal or a way of doing something, all of them just kind of stick to it. So I do feel that that's the mentality here. It's like just trust in the process, trust that your hard work and your, especially if you look at the Seven of Cups reversed, it's like if she made a decision on being on this path, she should just learn and adapt to the best method or the best way to survive in the industry that she's in, or survive in her goal. There is like this whole idea, or like this vibe of creating like, or establishing a routine with healthy habits that will help her survive the day-to-day responsibilities and struggles so she can succeed in the industry that she's in. There is a sense of like it is fate or destiny that she will succeed and accomplish her goals, whatever that is and however that looks like to her. However, there is a sense of her, of like the cards are telling her to not be discouraged, basically, and to start figuring out the best methods and the best ways of completing her responsibilities without feeling burnt out, or without feeling overwhelmed, or without feeling discouraged for the future. So that's why it feels like take inspired action is kind of like motivate yourself, stay positive, and continue pushing forward. But now let's go on to the third part of this reading, which is her love life. So what is going on, what is going on with Asa's love life? We have new moon and Gemini. So a new moon is a new beginning, a new chapter in our lives, a start of a new journey. And we have Gemini energy with communication is key. Let's see what is going on with her love life. And we have another Gemini card. We have first quarter moon in Gemini with speak your world into being. So this makes me think that in her love life, funnily enough, I've said this multiple times. So when I read for newer idols, their love life is just talking about self-improvement and just prioritizing and focusing on their growth as individuals. And with her, I do feel that the love part of her love reading is self-love, self-understanding, and self-knowing. So again, just focusing on herself and prioritizing herself. With the communication is key, this could talk about other relationships as well, of like being able to communicate with other people, her thoughts, her ideas, her opinions, her way of thinking. But also, it makes me think of like being able to stand up for herself. So if someone does or says anything that disturbs her mental tranquility, or disturbs her peace, or disturbs her space, she will learn how to effectively communicate in the nicest way possible. Leave me alone, or I'm not going to deal with your bullshit. That kind of vibe. So communication is key just makes me think of like if someone's bothering her, or like if someone is just bringing the energy down with their words. Like these people don't even have to say anything bad. They could just be complaining about their day, and that could also be like a draining point for her. She would just learn to very effectively say, let's not talk about this, or like I'm not going to listen to your issues. Something along those lines. I don't really know what type of person she is, but basically the cards are just saying that an act of self-love is to speak up for herself. So this could also just be expressing her opinion. So if someone says or does something, good or bad, she will feel more comfortable if she's able to express her opinion. So if she agrees, if she disagrees, or if she needs time to prioritize herself, that kind of vibe. Being able to just speak up and say, like, this is what I think, this is what I believe. Now, with Speak Your World into Being, it makes me think of the law of affirmation, the law of attraction, basically manifestation. This makes me think that if she focuses on herself, if she loves herself, if she builds confidence, and if she brings positivity into her life, then it will make it easier to visualize and manifest her dreams into a reality. And the reason being is that it will the word tolerate came up, so it will make it easier to digest the difficulties and challenges she will have to encounter in order to accomplish her goals and her dreams. But also, she will have, if she brings love into herself, it will be easier to understand her fears and her hesitation. It will also make it easier for her to get the confidence necessary to get things done. But the other thing that I'm getting is like this understanding and this self-knowing will also make it possible for her to figure out the best method or the best routine for her to continue forward in her life, maybe within her career or in any other goal that she may focus on in her life. The other thing with all this Gemini energy, though, is that I do feel there's a sense of understanding these two sides of herself, her subconscious and her awareness. So the things that she is actively pursuing in life and the person that she's actively striving for, but also her subconscious, which is like the person that, like, you know, her shadow side, or the person that she is, and the things that she thinks about, and the things that she desires but she may not be fully aware of. So things that are that stay a bit more dormant within her. And we have to keep in mind that, you know, she's young, so yeah, she's young, so she's just learning about herself and she's maturing as well. So shadow work is something that we never stop doing as people, but since she's young, part of just growing up is doing shadow work. So just looking at this side of herself that she may not be the happiest with, and looking at the things that she's afraid of, the things that hold her back, the things that had maybe stagnation, hesitation, fears, and maybe things that she doesn't even really like about herself. She will have to eventually face them. And I think this is like the two sides that this Gemini energy is talking about: the side that she's aware of and the side that she isn't aware of, the one that she's actively working on, and then the side that she is subconsciously suppressing, that kind of vibe. So just have a better understanding of who she is as a person will make it easier for her to not feel as overwhelmed, and then that will in exchange make it easier for her manifestations to come into reality, because there's no distracting energy getting in the way of that. Now let's take out the tarot to figure out any more details that have to come up for her love life. Like maybe what is this communication about, or just anything else about her love life. Yeah, I don't think this is talking about soulmates as much as it's just talking about seeing all aspects and sides of herself with like the twins in Gemini energy. So the cards that came up is the Knight of Cups reverse and the Ten of Wands upright. So the Knight of Cups could be talking about someone or like an offer. So I do feel that she may not be open to love right now. One, because I don't think there's any romantic offers pending, or anyone that she sees as a potential romantic interest. But also with the Knight of Cups reverse, it could also mean that she doesn't have the headspace for romance because she's focusing on her responsibilities with the Ten of Wands. So in this case, this could just mean that if any of you were interested in her love life, in the sense of romance, then there's nothing here. If anything, it's just like if there's no one that she's interested in, and there's also no one that has offered her a potential romantic thing. Like, I'm not saying that, like, maybe even if there has been someone, is no one that she has given enough time to consider worthwhile. Let me just put it that way. So yeah, with the Knight of Cups, there could also just be that there's no one out there that has met her expectations when it comes to a romantic potential. Now, with the 10 of Wands. The 10 of Wands talks about, here it says burdens, but the way that it works is that 10 of Wands talks about all of this energy that has been accumulating is a bunch of responsibilities that you're taking care of. And it's, in the 10 is like the end of a cycle. We're reaching all of this energy that has been building up till this point. And the 10 of Wands could just talk about someone that is very busy, someone that has a lot of responsibilities, someone that just has to take care of a bunch of things and take action upon a bunch of things. So this just tells me that she, as we saw earlier, she feels overwhelmed with her career. It's not super established, and it's an environment that is constantly clashing with what she grew up believing or what she grew up thinking. And she's having that battle. Like, that is her main focus right now. And because of that, she doesn't have time for a romance. And she also she hasn't really given herself the time to get to know herself better with this ever-changing environment and with these goals that she's striving for. So because of that, some of the additional burdens that she's working with is like getting to know herself better, on top of all the responsibilities and schedule that she's working on with her career. So yeah, what is going on in her love life? Well, her mission right now is to get to know herself better and just mature as an individual, have a clear mind and a better understanding of how she works and what she wants and how she wants to go about it. Again, establishing a routine. Also, I do want to point out that we have Gemini, a lot of Gemini energy with the Lovers, the new moon in Gemini, and the first quarter moon in Gemini. But then we have Virgo with the full moon in Virgo. And I want to mention that the ruler of Gemini and Virgo is Mercury. And Mercury energy is a very fast moving planet in the sense of like things happen very quickly. And also one thing that people that have a lot of Venus or a prominent Venus in their chart, they tend to have a lot of nervous energy. And the reason why there could be like a lot of nervous energy is that many of these people need to stay busy. Many of these people need to use that energy somehow, either intellectual stimuli or just taking action. So that's why Virgos are very good with tedious tasks, because they just need to keep themselves busy. Also, Virgo energy could end up with a lot of workaholics. Now, the Gemini energy is something similar. These people need to be constantly stimulated with a lot of new information, just staying busy, learning new things, or just talking and communicating. So I do feel that she's someone that likes to stay busy. She is someone that needs to be doing something constantly, either always learning something new or always doing something. So this 10 of Wands tells me that she's someone that can get easily overwhelmed when she has to do something, but she also gets very easily overwhelmed when she feels like there's not enough to do. So that's all I'm saying. That she just needs to keep herself busy. So that's why the 10 of Wands could just show that one of the ways that she will feel comfortable is if she has like a schedule of like, this is the things that have to get done. Because she's someone that gets a bit angsty when she's like resting and stuff, because she feels like she needs to constantly be productive. So she needs to work on that as well, so like that she knows how to do that without like hurting her body in the sense of like burning out. But to end off her reading, let's go on to the last section of this video, which is the healing messages. So any healing messages for Asa? Let's figure that out. Any advice or healing messages? Let's see what. Oh, it's a chunk of cards. It's 4. Okay, I can handle 4. So we have the koala spirit with spirit has a plan, which, I mean, if we see the world, it is like there's this big plan of like destiny, but also hard work. And also Saturn is like the planet where it puts you burdens, it puts you restrictions. It could be time restriction or resource restrictions, like you don't have the resources and the opportunities to do something. And usually these restrictions are so like that you're being tested. Can you work within these restrictions, or are you going to break free from this like boundaries to accomplish your goals and your dreams? It's up to you. The whole point is that you break cycles. That's the point, right? So it's kind of like, like when, let's say, like with her, it's like the plan is her destiny, her fate. It could even be like, this fate and destiny could be connected to her career as much as it could just be with like her personal growth. Because sometimes our career and our love life and our family or friends could all be like, what happens there could be just a reflection of ourselves and what we're going through. So I don't know how, like, if the plan is one that is like strictly only about her career, or if her career is just a channel that will reflect life lessons for herself. So all I'm saying is that I don't know how, like, if we look at her astrological chart, we might have a better idea of like where all her energy is concentrated on. And it could be in her career as much as her career could just be one of the ways that spirit will channel her life lessons for her, or will plan her growth for her. But anyway, this koala spirit, with spirit has a plan, there is this whole idea of like, she will encounter a lot of checkpoints, or she will encounter a lot of divine detours that are all guiding her towards aligning herself through her best path, or like the right path for her. But when I was talking about this Saturn energy, is this sense of like, she will encounter a lot of, I wouldn't want to say she will encounter a lot of obstacles to like slow her down, as much as like these obstacles are just constant test of her determination and a constant test of her growth. Is like, any obstacle she encounters is just a learning experience for her. That's how it works for all of us, but I do feel that in this case it's been highlighted for her, because right now she's having a lot of doubts as to if she will be able to accomplish her dreams at the end, or like if it will pan out, or if it will pay off. So this koala spirit is just reassuring her that there's a purpose to everything, and if something doesn't work out, it's just part of a learning experience, part of her journey. And any obstacles she encounters is not a punishment, it's just part of her growth. So she shouldn't see it as something that's trying to hold her back, as much as it's just something, it's just cause and effect. It's just something that happened, and she should just learn from it and improve from it. So sometimes if things don't really pan out, it could have just been a sign that spirit is protecting her, or it could also be a sign that spirit is trying to make a room for another opportunity that could be better. But so she shouldn't feel discouraged, but at the same time, it's kind of like, do with what you have. In a way, it's like, work. It will be better for her to start learning what's within her control and focus on those things, rather than kind of like looking up to the sky and like moving her fist like, hey, give me what I want, you know. So don't file a complaint to spirit, that kind of way. Okay, sure. Now, the next card that we have is the Rhino Spirit reverse with overcome any obstacles. We have the Hummingbird Spirit with be here now. And the last card is the Hawk Spirit with let spirit be your guide. So I'll start with the one that is very obvious. So with the Hummingbird Spirit with be here now, it's something that I mentioned very early on in like her career and in her current energy. The whole idea of like focusing on what she can do today, and focusing on the actions that she's taking at the present moment, instead of focusing on like her final goal. Is like, if she focuses on today, she will realize the power that she has to be a step closer towards her goal. But if she focuses too much into the future and in her goal, she will just feel overwhelmed, because she at the moment cannot see how she can go from point A to point B. Like that gap between where she's at now and her goals is a little bit too big for her to even fathom how she will get there. So it would be better if she just focuses on the today and trust in the process, trust that things will work out. This Hawk Spirit with let spirit be your guide makes me think of this whole idea that if you connect spiritually, you know, your spiritual team has a very different way of seeing things. They have a completely different point of view. And this Hawk Spirit makes me think of having like a bird eye view. It's like spirit sees things, you know, their sense of time is completely different from ours. Their sense of what can be done is completely different from ours, because they have like this bird eye view, and they're able to see the bigger picture constantly, but they're also able to see all of the moving pieces towards a certain goal. So if there's other people that will help her be a step closer towards her goal, or if there's opportunities that are like sneaking into her life to get her closer to her goal, her spiritual team has this birth eye view that will be able to see all of these changes that to her are not, the word visible came out, but so I guess that mount into something. So with her, that she just can't even imagine are possible, basically. So this makes me think of, like, you know how the whole thing with perspective of, like, if you are in, I saw this once, I will do my best to explain it. If you are on a two-dimensional world, your point of view will seem one-dimensional. If you are in a three-dimensional world, so the world that we live in, we see things in a two-dimensional point of view. So that's why you can draw a painting in such a way that it looks 3D, because even though we live in a 3D world, you know, there's depth and everything. The way that we see things is one where it's apparently 2D. So then if you live in a four-dimensional world, they see everything in a three-dimensional way. I saw a video about this once, and I couldn't fully understand where they were getting at, but the thing that I'm seeing this is, like, for example, they say that 5D is a spiritual world. I think someone mentioned that the fourth dimension was actually time rather than a spatial thing, but whatever. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that our spiritual team is considered to be in the fifth dimension, so the 5D, and because of that, they see things in a completely different way from the way that we see it. So because of that, I do feel that there's this whole idea of, like, there is this external force that will guide her along her journey and along her path, that will constantly reassure her that things will be okay, and will constantly turn things so like that she's in alignment with what she wants and what will be the best for her. But she doesn't have to worry about the things that are outside of her control, basically. She is guided, she's protected, she's taken care of. Now, the last card that I haven't talked about is the Rhino Spirit reverse with overcome any obstacles. This makes me think that, yes, this Rhino Spirit will be there to help her overcome any challenges and obstacles that are on the way, and kind of like bulldoze her way through some issues. However, with this card in reverse, there's also this whole idea that there are times that she doesn't have to push forward, and instead she just has to live day by day. So what I mean by that is that she doesn't have to work super hard to overcome an obstacle. Sometimes it's beneficial to allow things to fizzle out, but also there's this whole idea of, like, she doesn't have to use brute force to get her way across or accomplish her goals and her dreams. Sometimes it will be more beneficial for her to take things one day at a time and focus on other things that will indirectly help her towards her goal. It is making me think of the whole idea of, like, instead of I have here that she's an Aries, so Aries people do have this energy of, like, okay, what's the next challenge? What is the next obstacle? What is the next thing I have to work towards? And sometimes life is telling her to, like, tone down her, like, masculine energy of, like, actively pursuing her goal and get a little bit more in tune with that feminine energy that is a bit more receptive, a bit more connected to spirit, and a bit more laid back, and is like, okay, let me allow for the pieces to all fall in place before I make a decision of what actions I'm going to take towards my goal. So I do feel that this Rhino Spirit reverse is just kind of telling her that sometimes when she feels stagnant, it will be better to just focus on her present moment rather than charging and barging forward towards her goal, because she's just focusing on that end goal, right? So it's more like, because it could be just discouraging, because sometimes it's like, okay, hold on, let's allow for all the pieces to fall into place, and these pieces could be opportunities, situation, the right timing, or even people, like or sometimes it could even be herself. Like, maybe she's like, oh, I want to do this, so I will push forward, but maybe mentally or emotionally she's not quite there yet. So I do feel that it's like sometimes she has to have the patience for even herself to adjust to her environment, so then she can comfortably, maybe not comfortably, but in a very stable way, move into these unknown energies that she will be encountering along her journey. Something along those lines. Anyway, I will leave this here. I hope you guys liked this reading. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you find it entertaining or at least learn from it. It feels like right now she's doing okay. Like, even though it feels like her environment could be a bit overwhelming and stressful for her, I do feel that with her, she has a lot of unused energy, if that makes sense, that is just kind of like building up and staying a bit stagnant, and it's creating like this nervous anxiousness in her. But I do feel that that's because it would be better if she kind of organizes herself so like that she knows how to use her energy. So if she's an Aries, it makes sense that she needs to keep herself busy by taking action. You usually when you have air signs, they can keep themselves busy with I think keeping their brains busy. So some of them can just learn a bunch of new things or be on social media or be constantly talking with other people, and that's how they're satisfying this um big levels of energy that they have. But when you have Aries, they need to take action. They need to be doing something. So I do feel that with her. And sometimes Aries is like, I have to be doing something new. So I do feel that with her, she has a lot of this unused energy building up that is creating that is making her stagnation unbearable. So if she feels like she's not making progress, it starts bothering her, but because she's not using her energy anywhere else. That's why they tell us that we should go touch grass, right? Because sometimes by not doing a lot, all of that um, energy that we need for our survival just turns against us into like nervousness and anxiousness. So I do feel that with her, the best advice that life has for her as well is like when she feels like she hits a wall or things are a bit stagnant or slowing down, let's say in her career or towards her goals, it will be better if she keeps herself busy by doing something fun, lighthearted, and enjoyable. That's basically it. Because yeah, I do feel that she's just someone that has a lot of energy that she needs to put into use somehow. Um, which again, having all of that energy could be very helpful in getting a lot of work done, but also it can work against her when there's this periods where things slow down. So I do feel that she also feels overwhelmed because I think she's in an environment that's very unfamiliar to her, and she should be patient on herself so that she can adjust to her environment instead of like forcing herself to just get used to it and like get over it, right? But aside from that, I'll leave this here. As I said, I will see you guys on the next one, whenever that is, however that is. I will of course continue with the rest of Baby Monster, and it's just gonna take me some time as it usually does, but I will finish before this year ends, I promise. But yeah, thank you so much for all the love and support you have shown me and the channel. I hope that you also sent a lot of love and support to Baby Monster. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. So, love and healing for my part to you. And